Hey, Mystic Michaela spiritual family. Welcome to Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela. Today, we are talking about how those on the other side attempt to get your attention, how they nudge you, how they send you signs. And I'm going to explore some interesting mediumship readings I've had in the recent weeks. But first, hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. You know, how come I don't think I get many signs. Do I get signs?
You just got one this
signs.
week.
Why don't I get signs?
Okay, you just got one this week.
I did?
Yeah,
When
from
did I get a sign?
Abby.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about it at the end.
All right, I'll talk about... I guess that was... Is that considered a sign?
That's a sign.
That's a sign.
Freaked everyone out.
All right.
It was a sign.
Yeah, all right. I'll talk about that. We'll save that for the end.
Okay.
Last segment, we'll do that.
All right.
All right, so let's talk about this. You have the Book of Signs. It's coming out
Yes.
June 17th. Super excited. Book's fantastic. How... You had a sign, actually, or a nudge from spirit, whatever you want to call it, to write this book.
Whatever you want to call this nonsense we all talk about on this podcast.
Yeah, I know. Hey,
You had some sort of weird sign. What was that?
What was that? What was that nudge from spirit? I can't even believe I talk like this now, but this is how I talk, people. I've been spiritually awakened.
Yes.
Yes. I even told Leanna, I'm too spiritually awakened to watch The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Moron Wives? What's it called? Moron Wives?
Mormon Wives.
Mormon Wives. Whatever that nonsense
Yeah.
is. I'm too spiritually awakened now. I can't watch it.
I know.
But she's going to make me watch it.
Leanna's the moderator of one of our discussion groups.
Yes, and the whole group is going to be like, you have to watch it and give your take.
Well, you're so funny because you keep saying you don't watch it, but this is the third time you've mentioned it to me today. You're like, do we have to watch it? So like, what time do we have to watch it? So do we? Can we have to watch it later? Like, obviously you want to.
Well, let's go back to signs.
Okay.
All right. So, what was the sign that you got to write this book?
I did get a sign to write the book. So I was outside, and this sounds, what I'm about to say, preface, I know it sounds nuts, okay? Just go with me. But I was outside, and I was just watching the kids play, and I locked eyes with a hawk. Okay, I know. Like, I know, but I did.
Did you guys talk? Conversation?
I realize this. Sometimes I hear myself talk as if I'm my own audience, and it's like, Megan. But anyways, I locked eyes with a hawk, and the hawk was like really close to me. It was on a low-hanging branch. It was very close, and we locked eyes and we like stared at each other, and it was like really powerful. And then it like swooped at me.
Whoa!
And like right over my head. I felt the wind from its wings, like whoosh, like right over my head. And I'm telling you, it was a spiritual experience, okay? It really was. Okay. And in that moment, I couldn't put words to it. But what I knew it was, you sit with it, you're like, whoa, like that. I felt fundamentally different. And a big message I got, like a download, was to really explore more spiritual sources for other people to have access to. And then I was like, okay, I got to write this book. And I pitched it to Simon & Schuster, and they were like, absolutely. Like, it was the easiest thing.
Yeah.
Because
it was easy.
When things are supposed to happen, the doors just swing open, just in anything in life. So I was like, hey, guys, could I write this book? And they're like, yes, what a great idea. And I'm like, oh, really? That was easy. So anyway, so the book itself is about corporal and non-corporal signs. Okay. Corporal are physical, and non-corporal are like not physical, meaning you could take a picture of it or you can't, like that kind of thing. So the first half of the book is all my just crazy emotional stuff that can happen, which I'm big on telling you guys. You have access to messages from the other side. That's what this whole episode's about today. And then corporal signs, meaning different symbols, 150 of them, different symbols and nature signs and whatnot that occur.
Well, the big question is, have you seen the hawk since?
No.
So you wrote the book. He or she didn't come back.
I'm waiting for the hawk to come back.
You haven't seen.
Can you imagine?
You got indigo-ghosted by the hawk.
I did.
You got the hawk indigo-ghosted.
I think he came, and that was the message. He just dropped on me,
and he left.
Yeah,
never came back.
But the book came from that, and it was just like this peaceful knowing, like this truth, like this is what you're. It was so clear.
Did you write the dedication page to the hawk? Dedicated to the hawk. This book dedicated to the backyard hawk. Backyard hawk.
I'm telling you, we locked eyes. I realize that sounds nuts. I feel like it's some sort of like, I don't know. I wish somebody could make a movie of that, you know?
Yeah. Were you nervous? Were you scared?
I wasn't.
You weren't?
No. And he was staring right at me. We're like, hawks are very powerful creatures. And he was close. Yeah. He was close to me and so silent. It was really, you guys, it fundamentally changed me.
All right.
It was a big deal.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, you're going to talk about nudges from spirit.
chasing my kids around, making sure they eat healthy. I mean, that's always been some sort of uphill battle for me. It's basically choosing between not eating healthy items or eating things with this ridiculous amount of sugar. This is why I am so excited to introduce you to Beam Kids All-in-One Super Powder. It just launched, and you need to get your hands on this today. It has more than 40 essential ingredients to fuel healthy growth, including greens, pre and probiotics, fruits, and vitamins. And what's even better, it comes in a chocolate milk flavor kids love. It is co-created by Olympic gold medalists and mom, Shawn Johnson. She created it because she wanted to find a simple way for parents to feel confident about giving their kids the nutrition they need. So what do? You simply mix 1 scoop of Beam Kids in 8 ounces of milk. Then you shake, stir, or froth, and enjoy, making it a convenient addition to any meal or drink. My daughter makes this for herself in the morning. I don't do a thing. It's just out, and she loves it. And it tastes really good. So it is not a struggle or a hassle to get her to have her chocolate milk drink in the morning. Beam Kids is now available online at shopbeam.com/KYA. Because you're a listener to my show, you can take advantage of their limited time pricing of up to 35% off plus 2 free gifts using code KYA. Get your Beam Kids and your free gifts by heading over to shopbeam.com/KYA. Enter the code KYA. That's shopbeam.com/KYA and use code KYA for up to 35% off. When we die, I personally am 100% sure that this isn't it. This isn't even close to being it. I know that we go to another realm, a different plane of existence that is fulfilling and has purpose, and that we are able to cross over to give messages and comfort and little nudges. And the rules between this side and the next one, meaning how they come to us, I personally don't feel that we get to know all of them, meaning their laws of perhaps physics or how things work or don't work are different than here. So a lot of times I find with people, they're looking for signs on a more 3D level. And you have to kind of look in, you got to broaden your perspective. You got to open your eyes. You have to open yourself up to feelings and surprises and those nudges that are absolutely unmistakable. So today I'm going to talk about some readings I've had recently, some really amazing little nudges from the other side that hopefully will make you see where this has happened in your own life. Or like I say, always tell the story, always tell someone. You don't know who you're giving hope to when you tell your story about a nudge that you got. So let's start with a very recent reading I had. And it was right before the reading. I'm just doing my thing in the house like I do, getting my water, cleaning up, doing all the things I got to do because everybody just left and I'm picking up before I go do my readings in my phone readings in my office. And I start smelling smoke, like cigarette smoke. And it was so strong. And I get clairalience every once in a while, which is like clear smelling, which is psychic smelling. Nobody smokes in my house, but this was very strong, like to the point where I asked my husband, I'm like, Scott, do you smell that? Or is this psychic? Because he's used to this by now. And he's like, I don't smell anything. And I'm like, and it was persistent, the cigarette smell. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I knew this had to do with the reading I was about to get. And it felt like a man. And then it was really hard to breathe, but I knew that was, sometimes I'll get physical ailments before a reading that I know aren't mine. I call them shadow pain or shadow ailments. Like they're not mine. They're more of a message, and it's not scary or anything. But if you don't know what these are, they can be scary. But I've been doing this so long that I know it's not scary, and I knew it belonged to whoever I was about to read. So my client calls me, and we know we're talking about 100 other things today, but this man will not stop bombarding me with I can't breathe, so I have to say something. So I tell her, I'm like, okay, normally I start with the aura, but there's a man in spirit and he's pushing in. And she had given me just a bunch of pictures and I was attracted to one of them who I felt was her dad. And I said, Okay, so I feel like this is either his dad or a man related to him. And I told her, like, I was smelling smoke and I can't breathe. It's hard for me to breathe. I feel like it passed through the chest. And she said that, wow, that's weird because his father, my dad's dad, my grandfather, died of lung cancer, had the emphysema, probably through the chest because of smoking. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, he's definitely, and as soon as she said that, as soon as she understood it, all my shadow symptoms, poof, went away. And I just told her, I'm like, okay, well, he just wants to say hi. He wants to say hi to your dad. He wants to say hi to you. And I get this a lot. She said, oh, I didn't really know him. I didn't really know my grandfather very well. And like I told her, because you got to remember, and it's hard for me too, by the way, it's not like I know everything, but when somebody passes, even if you didn't know them, they still care about you. Like, think about it. Like, God forbid you were to pass. Okay, when your kids were small or something, you're still going to pay attention to them. Or perhaps you pass and then your kids have a kid. Of course, you're going to pay attention to your grandchildren. On the other side, and this, if you've listened to any other mediumship episodes, this comes up a lot. They care about their family. And honestly, they can be quite the gossips on the other side. Like, I'll get the 411, their opinions, kind of like just like they're having a cup of tea with you discussing what the cousins are doing. Okay, like that is exactly how they are on the other side, depending on their personality or whatever. But this grandpa energy was coming through, and a lot of it was about the dad, and I feel like the dad just needed a hug. And it's not the feeling I got from this man in spirit was everything that happened, and this could have been a whole hour-long reading just talking about him and his son, but we had other things to talk about. But overall, the big thing that I was getting from the grandfather's energy was it's not anything that's going to be solved in this lifetime, but we have healing to do in the next one. And that's a big thing when they come through to you. They'll come through sometimes with just emotion and not always words. And I feel like that has a lot to do with the other side and how communication happens in between planes. So emotions are a big deal. But they also have a lot of humor on the other side. Because remember, when you pass, you keep your, you pretty much, for the most part, I feel like you have a choice to stay you for a bit until you do whatever it is we do over there. You can stay kind of the version of you from this lifetime for a while. So a lot of them do keep a sense of humor. And I'm an empathic medium, so I'll channel kind of personalities. Anyways, I was talking to my client who, she was taking care of her old elderly father. Like, and I mean, like, really taking care of him. Okay. Like, she was in charge of all his caretaking and a lot. And her mother had passed. And I got this strong image of the mom on the other side. And I told her this, coming through, pointing at her husband's feet. So my client's father's feet, her husband's feet, and saying, ew. And just pointing at him like, ew, at his feet. I told her that. And then she laughed and she's like, you know what? They weren't you. And she, I guess, had just taken him for their first pedicure ever. And they went together. And so the mom was just kind of coming in with, that might have been just her personality or the way that she would have made a joke about that or something like, oh, you got that fixed. They were gross and you fixed it. You took them for a pedicure. So it was just kind of funny. And I think it's good to know that the sense of humor carries on into the other realms. Sometimes, though, the signs can be very subtle. And a lot of times people ask me in a reading like, well, what kind of signs am I getting? How are they talking to me? What am I missing? And one woman asked me this about her mother. She's like, how's my mom contacting you? And I felt the mom saying something about, well, she gave me an image of her daughter washing dishes and just kind of like something above her head refracting light. And that's all I got. So I told her that. And she's like, oh. And then I also felt like there was a presence over her right shoulder. So it's kind of that feeling like if you ever feel like you're being watched or stared at, even though you're alone. So I was getting those two things. And these are like non-corporal signs. So these are signs that aren't always, you can't take a picture of it, like that. But anyways, I told her this, and my client said that when she's washing dishes, she has kind of like a chimey thing above her head that will refract light. And she's felt that energy over her shoulder. And sometimes when she's doing dishes or whatever, that's when she's thinking of mom. So that's a subtle one. It's very subtle. And sometimes if we're not used to seeing signs, we have to start with the subtle. Like you have to start a little small. Like you really have to lean into stuff that maybe doesn't feel like such a big deal, but is. And I'll tell you why, because the more energy you give them, meaning the more you're like, hi, mom, when you see the light refracting, or hi, mom, when you feel like I'm not quite alone, even though I am alone. Is that mom? Like the more you're like, hi, mom, like that, the more the door widens. It's some sort of portal or the ability for them to kind of come over and give you stronger signs. So if you've been here a while, I say this all the time. Just lean into it. Who cares if you feel silly? Who cares if you're like, but what if it isn't real? Like, whatever, just lean into it. Because I'm telling you, the more you lean into it, the more you're going to get signs that are irrefutable. Absolutely. Absolutely signs that you're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy accurate. And I'll share with you a story that is it blew my mind. Okay, now this didn't happen during a reading. This is my across the street neighbor, Erin, and she's a teacher, and she's a special education teacher. And this happened a number of years ago. But, because, of course, we live across the street from each other and we talk all the time, I felt very a part of this amazing sign from spirit. Really tragic thing happened. One of her students drowned, and it was a horrific incident. Trigger warning. I'll tell the story. We're in Florida, so there's a lot of water. And this little girl was like 9 and had some intellectual disabilities, some challenges. But her mother, and this is a whole other thing, put her in charge of small siblings. She's 9. And one of the siblings dropped something in a body of water, and she went in to get it, but she couldn't swim, so she drowned. And this was such a tragedy, obviously, for a gazillion reasons. And, teachers suffer too. Okay. So, obviously the whole school was sad, but this was Erin's student. Like this was her girl. Like she was a really sweet, good girl. Okay. So a few days later, it was funeral, grieving, the whole 9 yards. A few days later, Erin gets a package from Amazon, as we do, right? And it had her student's name on it, but it was Erin's address. So that's weird. So it's, Amazon. And the thing with Amazon is you, as you know, when you order something for yourself, because I think we all know how Amazon works by now because we're all doing it. Like it's kind of like however you typed in your name, that's how it always shows up. So she had ordered something that she was expecting, but she was like, but what's this box? Because it's my address, but my student's name, which was really weird. And she waits and she's like, well, I'm just going to open it. And it's the thing she ordered. Now, like I said, like when you order on Amazon, every time you order for yourself, it just comes up the same on the address label. And this was the address, but her student's name. And it was the stuff she ordered. Hasn't happened before, hasn't happened since. And immediately she felt, obviously this was a sign from her student saying, I'm okay. But also Erin got another feeling. And the feeling was, oh, this makes me emotional, protect my siblings. Because, of course, that launched into a whole CPS investigation. And Erin, you can only do what you can do when you're a teacher, but she kept an eye on her siblings. She kept an eye on them, as she would have anyways, but they weren't all her students because they weren't all special education students. But she kept an eye on them, and she felt like that was what her student wanted her to do, so she did. So again, sometimes you got to lean into why and what else and what can I do. That one really touched me. Even though it wasn't a reading, it was just really powerful. But I'll tell you, ghosts that live in your house can also have messages for you. And I've talked about this before in some of the mediumship episodes. And sometimes I'll do a reading for you guys, and I'll be like, oh, this house has a little roommate. I call them, they're more like roommates. Honestly, having a ghost in your house, and it's like a weird thing to call them. I would say like a spirit. It's not the worst thing. They usually are very good roommates. They will tell you, they will protect the house for you. They'll make the house feel very homey. usually. Your house will be the one that if somebody's going to do something weird to your house, for some reason, people just pass your house over. You know, it's just they have a vibe. They're really good at controlling the vibe, like get out, stay out, or come on in, like that. And you can tell them, like, please don't scare me. Like, you can tell them, and they're usually very respectful. They don't like when you remodel unless you're doing something that kind of needs to be done. And honestly, if you're having water issues in your house, more than likely you have a ghostly roommate who needs to talk more. Oh my gosh, I sound absolutely nuts. Sometimes I get talking and I realize I sound crazy, but this is a real thing. The amount of times I've seen rando plumbing issues attached to kind of a ghostly roommate who needs you to say hi a little more frequently, very, very attached to one another. A little too coincidental to not be a thing. But anyways, I had a client and I saw a picture of her house, and immediately I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting like a man and he's in this house and he's very active, and I'm like, and he's really attached to your son. It sounds all creepy, but it wasn't too bad. But he was like really attached to your son, and I get the name Henry. And usually I don't get a name like that, but I got that very clear. And I even saw him, you know, like I saw the guy and feel like he died suddenly there and all this. Anyways, she freaked out, which I get it, because it's something like that would freak me out too. Like, hey, there's a ghost attached to your kid named Henry. But she freaked out because her son said, who was a teenager, so not even a little kid, like a teenager, was saying there, I feel this male energy named Henry. And so like we matched up, so it kind of freaked her out. And then also, and this is where it was getting a little much. He was taking a walk like around the block, and the street lamps two of the street lamps went out right above his head as he was walking. And he felt like it was attached to Henry. Now, if you're like that, going back to if your ghostly roommate feels like they're a little too active, you have to tell them, like, cut it out, like chill out, cut it out. And a lot of people ask me, like, how do I get rid of it? How do I tone it down? There's a lot of ways you can do them all yourself. I would say a big one is light a candle and say, you need to go to the light. You need to go to the light. You cannot be in my space in this way anymore. Go to the light. Goodbye. Like that. Usually that works. They just kind of need sometimes to be reminded that this isn't home anymore. The other plane is home. And I've said this a gazillion times because I think a lot of people like get nervous that ghosts are stuck or sad or something. Sometimes I think a lot of it is a choice. Like if they're living here Earthside, it can be a bit of a choice. For whatever reason, they want to hang out here. Maybe it was a place they were happy, or a place that they didn't feel like they got enough of their work done yet, or they're just kind of avoiding. That's what I'll see or feel a lot if you have like a ghostly roommate. Last one, and that was a little crazy psychic lady, that story, but this one's a real crazy psychic lady. CPL, crazy psychic lady. You ready for this? This one was nuts. I had a client, and this is weird. Like, I say this all the time. I don't do past lives. There's some people who specialize in, oh, you were this in a past life, or I'm more into, like, if you're into past lives, kind of research that yourself. I think it's important for you to have your own experiences with feeling it or connecting to it, or, under a guided professional, like doing hypnosis or whatever you want to do, regressions, whatever. But I don't really do past life stuff, but I can tell when somebody is like attached sometimes I get flashes of things. And I've talked about that. Well, I'm reading this lady and I get this flash and of the Middle Ages with her. I could not tell you what year it was or anything like that. And I told her this actually. I actually took, side note, a class in college on costuming and on period clothing through the eons, just because when I get these flashes, I wanted to be like, okay, wait a second, that's like 1860s. They had that sleeve. That was the style, or, like that, or men wore these suits in 17th century France. Like, I wanted to, like, when I got these images of something, I felt, I don't know, I would always see like outfits, and that would be the best way for me to kind of gauge the time. Anywho, but hers was hard because it was kind of just like a very simple shift kind of a thing. So it felt like very early, like maybe even not Middle Ages, maybe like, I don't even know because I'm not a historian, but it was a very simple like shift and very like homespun. Anywho, the crazy thing was this this never happens to me, but this past life version of her was kind of talking to me, like giving me a message, and it felt like her. So it felt like she was a reincarnated version of somebody in her own family tree. Like, she came back in the same family lineage. Just, I mean, it's probably happened many times, but like somebody in her ancestry was reincarnated as her presently. And I don't know how that works because that like kind of blew my mind. I'm like, how can you be alive, but there's a part of you still talking to me on the other side? I would explain that as higher self, or when you do past lives, there's a portion of you that is retained back that can still navigate you, or I don't even know. That's like a whole thing, which isn't that a fun conversation. But anyways, that's what I got. So I just told, sometimes I can only give you what I got, and I got that. But here's the thing that blew my mind. I said, are you like insanely obsessed with your family tree? Like, more than most people? And she's like, yeah, I've traced it back to the Middle Ages. Nobody does it. It's very rare that I get somebody who does the family history that far back, like where we're like really got some extensive tree going on. And she was, and I thought that was really cool. So we'll end it on that crazy psychic lady note, and hopefully open you up to the nudges people in spirit on the other side are sending you, and opening yourself up to new experiences with that. And you never have to be afraid. They're just people. They're just people who've died. No different than people at the grocery store. And see what you can get. Like, see what experiences or communication they can give you. It's summer. I don't want to cook, okay? But I still want to eat healthy. And eating well is a lot easier with Factor. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat. I mean, they're perfect for any active lifestyle. There's 45 weekly menu options. You can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. You can choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. And the food tastes amazing. I actually am obsessed with their smoky Gouda chicken. Do not sleep on that if it comes your way. And usually I don't even like fish that much, but their ancho lime salmon, oh my gosh, that changed my mind. And you can add on things too. My favorite thing to add on are the cold pressed juices. Oh my gosh. Just get started today at factormeals.com/KYA50off and use code KYA50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code KYA50off at factormeals.com/KYA50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys.
All right, so you said that you may or may have not gotten a sign, which I feel like you did, but explain it to us. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is what you're saying could have been a sign, and I think you might be right, actually, now that I think about it. But so it's the night before I have to go get my annual checkup.
Yes.
If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I have a terrifying fear of the doctor, the dentist. I hate going. Yeah. Anytime I go there, I get like blood pressure that's like off the roof.
Right.
And it freaks me out.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't had an appointment, I don't know, the last time I went was 7-8 months ago. It's been a while since I've had to go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. And so it's the night before, and I do actually, this is weird, I start getting nervous the night before.
Yeah.
I could feel my blood pressure probably going up the night before. That's ridiculous, right? I know it's crazy. It's absurd. But so, I'm just brushing my teeth, getting ready for bed, and then Abby walks into the bathroom and says, Dada, how you doing with that blood pressure cuff?
Meanwhile, You have not told anybody they're going to the doctor tomorrow.
I have not told
you
us.
keep it pretty
you
quiet.
Knew I was going,
I knew, but
I did not tell the kids. I try not to talk about it.
Right.
And that's because, so she asked me, how am I doing with the blood pressure cuff?
Yeah.
And again, remember, I haven't mentioned the doctor for 8 months. The night before, she asks me this.
Right.
Out of the blue.
So random.
So random. You know, because they have me take it. The doctor, will tell me to take it at home from time to time. But, I forget and I don't do it.
You have a travel blood pressure
Right.
cuff at home.
Right.
To practice taking your blood pressure so you're better at it at the office.
Right. And I haven't done it in a long time. I get bored of it and I don't like to do it. But
yeah.
So then Abby asks about it the night before I go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. Now, is that a coincidence or is that a sign?
Right.
I don't know. So anyway, now I'm all freaking out. I'm like, Abby, I'm trying to get answers. Now I'm going to read her to death.
Yeah.
Red aura her to death. So like, what do you mean? Why'd you say that?
It's like, Dada, calm down. Right.
So I go to so fine. So, that's now maybe that's on my mind. That's why, I don't know. So I go to the doctor. I walk into the office and my head is like pounding.
Right.
Like it is like, I could feel my blood pressure is like insane levels.
Yeah. So
I'm there. I take the doctor comes in and oh my God, here it's just everything like made it worse. So I'm sitting there and all of a sudden she starts talking about like, well, I want to have a talk to you about your will.
Like, who says that?
And I want to
like this. People are like, why are doctors so scary?
Yeah.
And then like Mr. Blood Pressure, God knows what it is right now.
Yeah.
And some lady's like, let's talk about your death, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah. She's asking me all these crazy questions, like, do you have a healthcare proxy? And then she's like going into it, like, let's say this happens to you, and then you're on a ventilating machine. Do you want them to pull that out? Not pull that out? Put it on high. Put it on low. I'm like, what?
And they're like, let's take your blood pressure now.
Like this time I'm like dripping sweat.
Yeah.
There's like a vein in my head just pulsating. And she's going through all these things. Then she's going through like all these things that can happen to you in life, all these terrifying things.
That sounds awful.
And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay. I'm like hyperventilating at this point.
Yeah.
And then so she's like, all right, let's take your blood pressure.
And what was it?
It was 150 over 100, I think.
Oh.
And that's high, 'cause
Yeah.
I'm on I'm on medication for this, so I do take
That's
a pill.
on the meds.
Yeah. So this is on the meds.
Yeah.
So, and I feel it. Like I even tell her, like, okay, this is not really an accurate reading. I don't usually feel like this. My head
love
is
when
like
you argue with them.
Yeah, I'm arguing with
You're
her.
like, you guys, the numbers aren't exactly correct. And they're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They don't hear you. They
No,
just
she
see the numbers.
Doesn't hear me at all. Not
Yeah.
listening to me. She's like the greenest person on earth. Doesn't
Right.
have any sort of, I don't know, blue in there that
They're
I need.
all like that, though.
I know.
They just look at numbers and they don't listen to you.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, the number one thing I hate about like the doctor is them like observing me. Like they're looking. That's what I hate the most. Like, why are you checking me? Like, you're just checking me out. You're in my business. Like, leave me alone.
Well, you went there on, you're paying to go there.
I know, and I'm paying
It's
to go
a
there.
service they're providing.
I'm paying to go there.
Yeah, you're getting real high blood pressure
Yeah,
right now.
the blood pressure is going up. So, anyway, so I got and.
Long story short, you need more meds.
Yeah, long story short, she's like, well, let's get you some more meds.
Oh,
I'm like, but if I'm at home and I'm fine and you're not like telling me all these crazy things about my death, then I will be okay. And they don't believe me. They just don't believe me. So now I'm like having like a red protest, and I haven't picked up the meds yet and things like that.
They did call, the pharmacy called
it's
today.
ready. Oh,
It's
okay.
ready.
Yeah. So is that a sign?
Yeah, so what happened was as soon as Abby said it,
Yeah.
you didn't pick up on it right away.
Okay.
Like Abby is like, hey, Dada, how's your blood pressure cuff doing? How come you don't do that anymore or whatever? And as soon as she said it, I was like, I'm like, oh, Jesus. Here we go.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's not going to be a good appointment. Like I just knew immediately like Abby got a warning for you.
Right.
She picked up on something in the ether. Because I think a lot of times signs are a lot of things. They can be from kids, can be conduits, and they're like little radios. Like just the frequency is just like turn to, hey, what about your blood pressure? What's up with that? And it was just she picked up that tomorrow is going to be a day. And you kind of.
So how did she get that? Like she got a message from spirit? Like something went into her brain? I don't know. How does that work?
I feel like we all kind of have we all have a so if you think of like consciousness or like spirit, or the other side is kind of like a plane that we have constant connection with, and some of us have better shields than others. If you have blips in your shield, or if you're a kid, or if you're just a little bit more sensitive to it, you can pick up the frequencies of what's going on. And for her, she was probably like in your energy frequency with, you know, I would call it something like your spirit guides talking to her, saying like, hey, give him this little warning, you know, or just what was going to happen, or what was going to happen tomorrow. You know, the doctor is a good place where maybe you needed this medication. And so it's a good thing that you're going, and it's a good thing that they caught it. And it's a good thing that you're getting more meds, you know, and maybe it was just something was going to happen anyways. And she picked up on the frequency and then put it in her own Abby words, which is, hey, how come I haven't seen you do the blood pressure cuff in a while, Dad?
Yeah.
You know, like that. And that's just conduits, and we all have the ability to be a conduit.
Right.
So it's just picking it. It's just kind of when you're more blended with the other side.
Well, all right, but what if I play the other coin? That freaked me out, and then maybe I went in.
That's
there
your ego.
Freaked out.
Our egos are our human selves that don't like that connection.
Yeah.
And everything's bad. Like your ego is everything is bad. Like that's the problem with signs. Like people all the time, there was a bird in my house. Is that a bad sign? Does that mean death? Like our egos immediately go to, this means I'm going to die. Like immediately. Like every time we get any sort of sign, you know, oh my gosh, my mom died, and then the chimes keep going off. Is she on the other side and she's trapped and she's trying to like immediately, like your egos go to fear, and that's not real. Like spirit's not fear. Spirit's just communication. Spirit's just talking. Spirit's just like message. Spirit's just information, you know, but our egos interpret that as bad. But it's true though. Like as soon as she said it, I was like, oh, she's not getting that unless something's happening tomorrow that he's not going to be too thrilled about.
Right. No,
and there it was.
Yeah,
she picked that up.
She sure did.
Yeah, but it is true. Like you do it just from the other side of it. Like if let's say I'm your medical provider, let's just say, and somebody like you walks in.
Yeah.
Like and I think red auras do this. And I can see green auras doing this a little bit too, but I think red auras are the culprits. It's like you can't out logic the logic. Like here's a number. Right. On your blood pressure reading. Like there it is. Right. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but the number is here. So I can see reds being like, okay, we're going to court over this. Well, I'm the defense. This is why. This is not the real number. It's because you stressed me out.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I could logically defend that number.
I know, but you know what? You're doing it again. Like that's the thing, like with medical, they're just like, let's say you were unconscious, right?
Yeah.
And you couldn't talk.
Right.
And that was like, and they were reading that number.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, there's a conclusion that comes from just looking at that number. Like even I can see that logically, and I'm
less
I'm logical.
But you see, you're on their side. Let me explain.
It is what it is.
Here's what I'm saying, Tim.
It is what it is.
Let me go through this really logically.
Okay,
one more time. I'm at home.
Yeah.
I'm relaxing.
Yeah.
I used to take the blood pressure thing, and it usually be like 120s over like 80 or 75 or whatever, and sometimes maybe like 130. So it is a little bit high. I'm not going to argue that with the green doctor.
Blood pressure is supposed to be like, what, 120 over, is it 80
70 or something,
80?
75?
I don't know.
80,
I
something
thought
like
it was
that.
120
like,
over
it's like
80,
I'm in like
70.
a little bit of the high end range.
Okay,
fine. But then, and I'm living my life, and every day I feel great. I feel wonderful. This is like I feel really, vibrant, whatever. I don't know, a lot of energy, right?
Yeah.
Like you tell, right? In this podcast, I'm talking real loud.
Yeah.
A lot of energy. So, and there's nothing pounded in my head or anything.
Yeah.
So I know that my blood pressure isn't at that moment 150 over 100. But then I go there, and my head's pounding. Like I feel the blood pressure in me. So obviously, logically, it's because I'm there.
I hear what you're saying, and of course I have to agree with you just so we can end this, but
right.
I do know that red auras tend to have high blood pressure, and I really feel like it's because they get just, I don't know, amped up a little bit more than other energies, and I will pivot to case in point, the ice red rant.
Oh my God.
This can be overtime if you'd like it to be.
Fine. We're going to that? Okay.
Yeah.
See, I guess my blood pressure probably is elevated now. Okay.
Because you're going to get, just like this talk about mortality and should you make a will and all the tube stuff that she was stressing you out, which is awful, by the way. Yeah. And like when I go to the doctor
Who does
too.
That?
Well, ask women. Like when we go to the doctor, you should hear what they tell us. When
Yeah.
I go to the doctor, like, hi, you're old. Like here's like 8 ways you can have cancer. Like they're very scary to you at any doctor. You just learn to like,
Yeah.
okay.
And plus, I didn't even, I had the blood test. So like, I was like, 5 minutes away from someone poking my arm with a needle. Like that was coming up. I knew that was coming up.
I know, but your blood pressure shouldn't react to that. Like mine doesn't.
My pressure does.
Mine doesn't. Like you react to that the same as if you're being like chased by a tiger or something. You know what I mean?
That's
yeah,
what
but it shouldn't.
I know
do that.
I think that's what she was trying to tell me.
Yeah.
But I don't listen to her.
Anyways,
Yeah.
but here is what I mean. Like you're just a little bit running red.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what a red rant is, I'm about to show you. Hang on.
No, I was like 2 steps away from her telling her, look, this is only because I have a red aura. And I didn't tell her that, but I was about to. And I'm like, this is only because I have a red aura. Can you just let me go now?
She's like, here's a little note. Get a psych eval.
Yeah.
You looked into psych.
And I leave now, read lady.
Prescribe you a little drug here.
Yeah.
For that,
Well,
sure.
So now you got me on the ice.
So let me explain the ice.
This is, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, explain the ice.
Okay. And then I will allow your time for red rant. Let me just explain it for the listeners. This is overtime. Feel free to go. But if you need an example of a red rant, it's coming. It is coming. Here we go.
Okay.
In our home, we have a fridge that makes ice. Like it's an ice machine.
Almost a brand new fridge.
Because the other, okay, yeah.
Okay.
And it makes ice. Sure. Great. It's wonderful. And the kids have Stanleys, and these Stanleys are as big as their bodies. And I don't know, the kids are a lot thirstier today than they were when I was a kid. These kids are constantly hydrating, and they're always using all the ice. So there's never ice. So whenever Scott goes for ice, there's no ice. And if you have an ice maker on your fridge, like when there's no ice and you put the cup there and it's just like, but like no ice comes out. But like, I don't know, not everybody understands like no ice is coming out. You know what I mean? It's like a very, very obnoxious sound.
Yeah.
Anywho, so the kids use all the ice. And Scott gets very stressed out about it. And I had this idea because I'm purple indigo, right? I don't like, let me just tell my part. And then you can go into your rant and I will give you all the time for a rant.
Fine.
I hate that noise. That noise stresses me out. It's not good for the vibe of the house. That's 1. 2, whenever somebody runs out of ice, they start screaming at everybody else, accusing them of using too much ice. That's 3. And 3, I like comfort. And I go on Amazon and I notice that there's this ice maker that sits on your counter. It's like a industrial ice maker, and it's on sale. And it's on sale for like $58. And I'm like, that's not bad for, they're gonna be home all summer, and that's a lot of ice. Makes 26 pounds of ice a day. I wasn't even sure if that's enough, but I was like, okay, that should be good. And I just casually brought it up to the family. So Scott, here, this is what starts him on his red rant. Scott, can't we just get the industrial ice maker? It's half off. It's on sale.
Okay. Let me explain this to you. Okay. Now, who are the culprits?
The children.
Of all the ice?
The children.
The children. I go, get a glass of water out of the fridge. Almost a brand new fridge.
No ice.
Brand new water filter.
Right.
Everything's nice. Because ice makers don't last that long in fridges. That's the first thing to go. Like your
true.
ice maker goes and you're screwed.
Yeah.
And every time I go up there, I get like one little piece of tiny little ice that falls into my cup. Blink.
Like old ice.
Blink. That's it. Tiny. Blink. And I'm like, where's the rest? So I am pretty much all the time drinking warm water with this tiny little piece of ice in it.
I drink warm water too.
Yeah, we both do. And then, at various times of the day, I hear that machine going for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And all this ice just pouring into their Stanleys.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, there's more, there's so much ice. They constantly filling up these Stanleys.
They need it filled all the way up.
Yeah, with ice. So, all right. So basically, this is a problem that there's no ice ever because, like, when I want to drink, I don't even know when they would use the ice because they have it all in their cups.
Yeah.
So fine. So that's what's been going on. And then today, I'm just casually relaxing.
Yeah.
Drinking my coffee, eating a bagel. And
blood
my blood pressure's
low.
nice.
Yeah.
It's low. I tell the doctor I should call her up. Be like, hey, right now it's only 120. Could you leave me alone? All right. And then I get this. Then there she is, little Miss Indigo. Scott, there's this Amazon sale for an ice maker.
Yeah.
For $59, whatever it was.
Yeah, matches our kitchen. It's green.
Yeah, and then it makes more. Okay, we don't have an ice problem. We don't have an ice making problem. Okay, there is no problem with the ice maker. The ice maker is totally fine. It makes a lot of ice.
It's half off.
I look in that box in the fridge, and there's huge amounts of ice in there.
Yeah.
There's so much ice that we don't need extra ice.
All right.
So
should we just get it? And then you're like your red rant's like, I'm not paying for this ice. I'm not the one with the problem. If the kids want an ice maker, they can go halves on it. They can pay for it themselves.
Yeah.
So I brought it up to the kids. So I'm like, oh, hey, Dad said that it's cool if we get the ice maker if you guys go halvesies on it. And then he hears me and he's like, Megan, what? That's enough. We have nowhere to put this ice maker. What? It's plugged in all day? Who's paying that electric bill, Megan? How does it even work? I'm like, it does. I'm like, actually, you do have to plug it in all the time. I think you do have to add water to it a lot. Oh, Megan, who's even doing that?
You know what? I'll buy 3 ice trays.
No one fills the trays,
Okay.
and that's from the 90s.
No,
Everyone
this is what I'm
knows
gonna do. I got an idea. I'm gonna get 3 ice cube trays.
Okay.
You can even get them like if you want like not like square. I'll get you like in shapes like watermelon. You want the watermelon ones?
I don't care.
You know, lemon. Okay, yours will be square.
Okay.
Okay. The kids can pick out theirs, and then I'm gonna write your names on it. I'm gonna write MM on one. Then I'm gonna write. Although you're not the ice problem.
It's the kids.
All right, so I'm gonna get 2 ice trays.
Yeah.
Save some money there too. So it's gonna say Abby on it and then Bree on it, and those will be their trays.
It's these kids with their Stanleys.
And they could take from their tray and then fill up their tray.
Yeah, they're so hydrated.
Yeah, these are the most hydrated kids on the planet.
They're hydrated children.
Yeah.
But actually, did you know that lukewarm water or room temperature water is better for your body?
Than ice water?
Yeah, you're supposed
really?
to drink. Like, I guess it's better for your body. I don't know why, and I can't explain the science to you.
then
But
I'm
I read that once.
Hey, then I'm doing great.
And so I think that's true.
Then I'm doing fantastic.
I'm doing great too.
Because I get this one piece of ice. Blink, blink. Okay.
All right, so that's a red rant. You're welcome. Well, this podcast is for you and about you, and we're so glad you spent some time with us today.
Are you looking for a new job or want a career change? Look no further than Monster.com. Need a little help standing out? Our expert resume writing services will make sure you shine. Want to brush up on your interview skills? Engage with our AI interview prep tool. Want some advice on negotiating your new salary? Visit our salary tools and extensive library of career advice articles, and you'll have all the tips and tricks you'll need to succeed. Visit Monster.com today and take the first step towards your career. Monster.com. Find your right job fit.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve. It's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.